and welcome to another Happy Pod, the only podcast in the world. My name is Nathan. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Lawrence, who is a bit of a prick.
Okay, right. I see that actually you toned it down this week, considering the word you normally use. Is that because we're with company?
Well, yeah, I didn't want to be rude in front of our very special guest, Lawrence, so I thought
much obliged.
Yeah, I thought I'd be a little bit nicer than usual.
That's fair.
Yeah, so this week we have Harley from the Fandomentals podcast joining us this week. Hello, Harley.
Hello, thank you for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. I mean, you guys were kind enough to come on my podcast not that long ago, so it's nice to be invited back.
Yeah, I got to... I'm still jealous because Nathan got to talk about something that he loves, and I got to talk about work. So I don't know if that was your secret agenda or something.
But do you guys, you like your work, don't you, Lawrence? Or is this where your employers find out that you hate it and you're just half-assing it?
For my own employability, I'm not going to answer that question, if that's okay. I'll leave that one in the air.
No comment.
Yeah, exactly. No, Harley, you're here. What we do when we have guests on, more often than not, is we let them choose the topic. So you came forward with Blade Runner 2049. So
Yes.
We've watched that. Is there any reason? Why did you choose it?
It's my favourite film. That's the reason. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of just Blade Runner in general. The first movie, the final cut, obviously, which is the correct one to watch. It is amazing. It's such a great film. The book's fantastic. Love all of that. Love AI. Love sci-fi. And yeah, I remember going to see that in the cinema and just sort of being cautiously optimistic, because it was like, okay, you're doing a legacy sequel to a film that's sort of a cult classic. I'm not sure about this, but then the people involved made me think there's going to be something here, surely. And I was pleasantly surprised, as I sat down and watched the film, and I had that moment like halfway through in the cinema, just thinking to myself, I think this might be my favorite film. This is just incredible. I'm loving every second of this. I don't want it to end.
Did you have that that Danny DeVito Always Sunny moment where it slowly zooms in? You're like, I get it now.
Yeah, basically, yeah. This is cinema. Oh,
Nathan, had you seen this?
No, never seen this until last night. I'll be honest, Harley, I've never cared about Blade Runner. I do apologize. It's never been something I've cared about. I have seen the original Blade Runner, kind of. I don't know which version I've seen, but I've seen it, and I didn't pay attention. Okay.
To be fair, that's how most people watch it.
Yeah. I know that Harrison Ford is in it, obviously. I know that it's kind of something to do with robots, and I know that it's set in a futuristic version of LA, kind of, or something. And that's basically all I know. So I feel like this episode, and maybe just mostly you two helping me understand what I just watched, because I'll be honest, I don't know where I'm at with the movie. So hopefully we can try figure it out as we go along over the next hour or so.
I think I might be meeting you both in the middle, because I have seen Blade Runner. I've also seen this prior to watching this again today. But I'm in the boat of I'll be honest, I didn't have the time to rewatch Blade Runner before I watched this. So I went over to my helpful friend Movies in Minutes on YouTube and quickly got the lowdown. But I don't think I needed to, because this kind of it kind of goes like, if you don't know much about Blade Runner, here's the lowdown in a bit of text at the beginning. Yeah. And then also it barely touches on anything that actually happened in Blade Runner either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some people in it. Yeah. Obviously Harrison Ford, and then you get a certain appearance a bit later on of people that that were in the original movie. But I kind of think they did this intentionally, because like Harley alluded to, there's 8 fucking versions of this movie of the first movie. So I think when it came down to making a sequel towards it, they were the first question was probably, which one are we making a sequel to?
Yeah, I think it was probably off the back of the final cut, because they brought one of the original writers back. Yeah, and I think that was part of it.
What is going on there, Harley, with all the different cuts, if you know anything about it? What's the deal there?
As far as I understand, it was a case of Ridley Scott, famously made the Blade Runner film, and the final cut, to cut a very long story short, is the version he wanted to make. But the various iterations are just down to the fact that studios interfere a lot. And if you see the original cinema cut, it's kind of infamous for having this sort of narration over the top, which narration's not always a bad thing, right, in movies. But in that case, it was very
racist.
It was racist. There is racism in it. Yeah,
I've heard that.
there is some. Yeah. choice language, shall we say? But primarily, it was just the fact that it really kind of took out a lot of the nuance of the story, and it was basically trying to spoon feed it to people, but in a way that was very patronizing and also kind of misunderstood what the point of the film was. And then over the years, Ridley Scott just kept dipping back in and going, oh, do this, do that, and eventually I think he got to I want to say 2007 or something like that, and that was when he was like, right, this is what I wanted, leave it alone now. And I think by that point, I think, is it Fox that made the first one, or Sony, or they just didn't care at that point. They were just like, yeah, fine, okay, have your final cut. And all the fans were going, yay, because we got to watch a good version of the film. I mean, the rest of the cuts are fine. I've seen a couple of the others and they're all right, but the final one is just better.
Yeah, that's the one that has the the consensus with everyone, basically.
Yeah.
Like, this is the official version, kind of. This is
basically
the one we all watch. Okay.
What is it about sci-fi in the 80s that had directors like, I can't make up my fucking mind how I want this to come out?
I think a lot of it's just down to technology, right? And wanting to build these incredible worlds, but maybe not necessarily having the knowledge of how to do that. And then as time goes on, you're just you're looking at what people like George Lucas are doing, right? Or James Cameron, and you're going, oh, okay, I can use that now, can I? And if you really care about a property, you'll just come back to it because, you've got the time, if you've got the money, fair enough.
And like, it obviously, maybe not to the effect that Star Wars has, but there was certainly a dedicated fan base out there that were like, I guess, kind of like unfulfilled with what had come out, and like...
Yeah.
Because I guess seeing so many like bastardized versions of something that you really enjoyed is kind of frustrating. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, like Philip K. Dick has just a massive following because he's a really good author. And, obviously it's the kind of stuff he writes. Freaks like me who just like dive into the source material and absorb it all, and we're like, this is so cool. And because of the story of Blade Runner is one of those that is, it's just so much of it is in the little details, that you need to get that right. One of the biggest issues from memory of the different cuts was the whole question of, is Deckard a replicant or not, which is so central to the book, and even the book doesn't really answer the question. Like, it's deliberately ambiguous. And in some of the cuts, it's very straightforward. They give you an answer, and I think that frustrated a lot of people as well, because they're like, oh no, that's not the point of the story. And so in the final cut, it kind of avoids that once more and is quite clever with it.
For someone that hasn't seen it in a long time, and for someone that has seen it but didn't pay attention to it, can you, before we get into the 2049, can you just give us funnily enough, we're talking about like bastardized tellings of certain stories. I'm asking you, can you give me a crude 30-second rundown of what Blade Runner was?
You are setting me up to fail, thank you. Essentially, it's the story of this guy called Deckard. He's what's called a Blade Runner. He's hired to chase down replicants, which are androids that have gone rogue. In the book and in the film Blade Runner, he's basically chasing after a handful of them that have escaped from a mining colony off-world, and that's his job. He tries to track them down. In the meantime, he's introduced to a guy, Tyrell, who runs the corporations that build all of these machines, and he's a bit of a freak with a god complex, surprise, surprise. And he introduces him to Rachel, who initially he thinks is just an assistant. Turns out she is a replicant. She doesn't even know she is one, and they have a whole romance, which is a little bit icky in the books and also icky in the film, but we move on. And so eventually he ends up getting entangled and then finds himself essentially thinking, well, hang on, I'm falling in love with a replicant. And then he kind of has a moment of crisis, like, am I a replicant? Does this mean this is all meant to happen? What is real? So on and so forth. Ends up having a showdown in the film with the sort of head honcho of the group of replicants, Roy Batty, and there's a really amazing speech that he gives at the end that kind of summarizes essentially the film, which I can quote word for word if you would like me to.
You said I set you up for failure. That was like the most prepared answer I've ever heard.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was genuinely quite good. If let's say we'll take the final cut then as the official version. Is that version? It's ambiguous as to whether or not Harrison Ford is a robot or not.
Yeah. Again, it very much leans on the book, and it is like deliberately ambiguous. You are kind of unsure. In fact, even Harrison Ford and Ridley Scott have argued in interviews about what they think is the right answer, which is really funny to watch.
It's so strange to imagine Harrison Ford caring enough about a movie or a franchise to argue a point about it. That's quite funny.
It is.
Where do you stand on it? Do you have an idea, a theory, or anything to do with?
When I factor in that film and the film we're going to talk about, I like to think the answer is no.
Okay.
And I guess we'll get into it more as we talk 2049, because 2049 also skirts around that quite nicely, which is something I really liked about it, was that, it didn't just trample all over it. It was very careful to kind of sidestep that issue.
I was going to ask Nathan, so like with that, what do you think you watched today?
Is it time for my crude retelling?
Oh, yes, please do.
Not crude retelling, but like I figured that might give you a springboard into like reframing some shit.
So here's what I think I watched. Okay.
Yeah.
So Ryan Gosling.
Correct.
Good
so far.
That was him.
I got that one right. Okay. So all right. So Ryan Gosling is a cop. Okay, that's all we know him about at first. He's a cop in a flying car, and he goes to see Dave Bautista, who is wasted in the movie, frankly. But that's another point.
Yeah.
He kills Dave Bautista because Dave Bautista's a robot, and Ryan Gosling hunts robots. But then we find out that Ryan Gosling is also a robot.
Yeah.
But maybe he's not. But maybe he is. But I don't know. Anyway, then he goes home and he's got a relationship with a woman who's also a robot, or maybe dead, or is like just like a program you can buy or something. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But then he has a job to like find a kid, and then maybe he is the kid, but he's not the kid. He's like a clone of the kid, or like a decoy clone or something of the kid. And then he asks the kid to help him understand, but he didn't know it was the kid at the time. And then he finds Harrison Ford. And then he kills a woman in the water. and then Harrison Ford goes to see his daughter. Oh yeah, Harrison Ford had a daughter with Rachel, who was a replicant, so that can happen, I guess. Oh, and also Jared Leto was there, and like he's been weird and creepy, but that's just Jared Leto.
Yeah. They just pointed a camera at him on set.
Yeah, it's just when Jared Leto, just be yourself for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then I don't know.
I think you've got it. Like that's
okay. I don't think I have. But okay.
I mean, some of the details are off, but the main thrust of it, you're on point there, my friend.
You've got more than I got the first time round, because I came out the first time in the cinema and I was like, "What was that?" And I was scared to re-approach this for a long time. And then I had that I get it moment today where I'm like, Is this a masterpiece? I don't know. Right. So are you familiar, Nathan and Harley, I suppose, with and I'm not necessarily, because to the fact that I can't even pronounce his surname correctly. Denis Villeneuve, I think, is his surname.
Villeneuve, I think. I don't know.
All three of us have a different pronunciation.
Yeah, I've pronounced it differently on other podcasts as well. I'm still not sure. I heard Villeneuve not that long ago from the Empire guys, so I'm gonna throw myself at them and say they're film journalists. If they've got it wrong, then I'm not responsible.
Then they should have been better journalists, is what
exactly.
You're
saying. Yeah.
We'll go with that then. I've seen a few of his stuff. I've seen Arrival, which is great. Arrival is great. Is that it? Did he do? He didn't do District 9, did he?
No, I don't think so.
No, that was Blomkamp.
Yes,
and maybe that's it. But yeah, I've seen Arrival. Arrival's good.
Sicario, Prisoners.
Oh, I've seen Prisoners. Yes, I've seen Prisoners.
Dune.
No, I haven't seen Dune.
Okay.
No.
Oh, dude, you got to see Dune. Dune's so good.
I don't care. Just don't care.
I was the same. It's just like, it's sand, people, and worms and shit. Like, I don't give a fuck. And then I went there and I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll do it on this podcast, and then I will, but who knows.
I'll come back for that one. I'll just say that now, because big fan of both of those things. But anyway, yeah.
So if you're, I guess if these are two like things that you enjoyed, Dune and Blade Runner, I guess you were probably quite excited to see his name attached to both of those things, right?
Oh, massively, man, massively. Yeah. I mean, that was the thing that gave me hope for this film. Basically, was hearing his name attached, because I'd seen Arrival, I'd seen Prisoners and Sicario, and I was just like, this guy's an incredible filmmaker. Yeah. And then when they said, he's doing a sequel, I thought, all right, he strikes me as the kind of guy that isn't doing this just for a cash grab, because again, it's a belated sequel to a cult classic. There's no money there. He's obviously doing it because he loves it. So at the very least, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't he earn like a reputation from doing this movie as like kind of like the king of like big epic sci-fis that just massively flop.
Yeah.
Because, like,
yeah.
I don't think this did that well.
No, it didn't. It did quite badly, I think. Yeah.
It's basically repeated history. It's done exactly what the first Blade Runner did, which is,
Right.
yeah, didn't do great in the cinema, but on like home release, it's doing super well.
Yeah.
Okay.
This movie birthed that meme and also the meme that good cinematography equals yellow. That's another one that came. That like genuinely that was like this, and it was like Roger Deakins made something yellow. So then like 1917, we're like we're all yellow.
Yeah.
We're doing all the yellow smoke things.
Isn't it more orange in this?
It is, but like it's like it's that palette, isn't it? Like
It's
a
orange
yellowy-
like you've never seen orange.
It's good orange. I tell you what, this movie looks beautiful though.
Oh,
like there's the joke of good cinematography is yellow or whatever, but this genuinely looks like incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
It won him the Oscar. You know?
did it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well that makes sense. Yeah, because there's some shots and like kind of like the brutalist architecture that you see of the cityscapes and everything like that. It's really, really good stuff. I don't like the commitment to this fucking tiny ass font that they use, and I feel like I felt like my eyes were bad for the most of the movie, and I had to really strain to read what was going on. Use a bigger font.
Of all the things we were going to talk about today, I did not think fonts were going to come up, but fair enough.
He's
That's what
cooking, man.
happens.
That's a fair point. It is a small font.
It is a small. Even when the credits came up
Yeah.
at the end, I was like, "What the fuck, man? I can't. Do I need glasses?"
Directed by Denis. Who the fuck? All right, well let's rip the band-aid off and let's get into it. The opening scene is perfect. Like,
Yep.
Okay.
it's so fucking good. It's like I think Denis straight out the bat understands like kind of two things about setting up sci-fi, and that's like a cool look for your protagonist
Yep.
and the vibes, which sounds like silly, but you immediately feel like you're in the world of Blade Runner, but with a slightly modern update in the fact that one, it looks fucking, like Nathan said, incredible. And two, you're just in this kind of weird barren wasteland, but there's like tech stuff there, but like he's wearing a big leather coat. So it's like, is it like, it feels like modern, but very attached to reality of Earth that we know, even though it's not Earth, if that makes sense.
100%, yeah. And Hans Zimmer just in your ears from the second the film starts.
Mate, they had the big three. They had Roger, Denis, and Hans Zimmer. Like, this was... Oh, God.
With credit to Benjamin Wolfish, I want to say, as well. I think it was the other guy that works on it with him. But yeah, like that, you're right. Like that opening bit to me was just, it's so good. Just
Speaking of Hans Zimmer quickly, the score is quite interesting because it's like, it's not really a score. It's like weird kind of soundscapes and just like very strange sort of like tone pieces, really.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Okay, interesting.
It's another really just absolutely poured over element of the first film is the soundtrack by Vangelis.
Okay.
Because it is so unique and different. I mean, basically, Blade Runner is the movie that essentially popularized the dystopian future. Like, you watch the first Blade Runner and you go, oh, I've seen this before. And you realize it's every other film that came afterwards that was set in the future, because they, even from the soundtrack and the look, it's just, that's what they did. They just ripped it off. So that was another big point of this film, was you have to get the music right. And you're right, it's not like a straightforward John Williams, or Danny Elfman kind of thing. It's like, no, you need to just be super weird with this.
Yeah, like low throat singing and that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Mate, go see June. You're gonna fucking love throat singing, man.
Oh, yes.
That's there. No, you're right, because there's like, it'd be weird if it was John Williams-esque. Like, imagine Kay shoots Dave Bautista and he goes bah, 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 and it's like this brutal moment, and it's like dun-dun-dun-dun. Like this very like victory moment.
I'm just imagining Danny Elfman as he's running along in the city or something. Yeah, just go take you out of the film.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no. So this opening scene, obviously, like the thing they need to get right is showing us Ryan Gosling, who I've seen people refer to this as like a weak performance. That's fucking wrong. Like, this has boiled you before, I can tell.
Many times. Yes. I am sick to death of that argument, especially because I feel like it's not to sort of take over, but it feels like this springboards into his whole career. If you know what I mean? Like the amount of conversations I've had with people, I'm like, they say, oh, who's one of your favorite actors? I'm like, oh yeah, Ryan Gosling. Not only because he's in one of my favorite films, I'm like, he's just genuinely a chameleon. And people are like, oh, isn't he the guy that just looks kind of sad and a bit like fools. And I'm like, it's called subtle acting, you moron.
He's done a few of those movies where it is a bit like that. So I see where they come from, but it is.
But that's still hard to do.
Yeah.
And to do it well. And then I also turn around and watch like the Barbie trailer the other day, and I'm like, and then he's just doing weird stuff like this, and his comedic timing is spot on.
Yeah.
And like, you see, like, so sorry to jump in there, Lawrence. Yeah, it is a big bugbear of mine of people being like, oh, he's a bit quiet. It's like, he's playing a robot, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's meant to be playing somebody that is figuring out emotions. It's like,
well, that slow nature is like the opening scene. It's like the thing of like he's there obviously we know this setup. We know the opening scene of like a bounty hunter approaching the location of the prey and all of this. And like he sits in the kitchen. They have a brief chat. And like under the surface, this entire time, it's just like bubbling that we know one of them's dead. Like one of them's not walking out. We're either gonna. We've seen the poster. We know it's Ryan Gosling. But like if you went into this completely blind, it wouldn't be a completely unexpected thing to be like, Dave Bautista is here. He killed the guy that came to get him, and now he's the protagonist or whatever. But like under the surface, you've got like just little filmmaking quirks. Like there's a literal kettle boiling water.
Yep.
Like. It's something that's signifying there's an end in sight to this interaction, and it's like, it's fucking great. I don't know, Nathan, if you were like fresh out on this, like what was your first initial kind of reaction to opening this movie?
I was mostly surprised to see Dave Bautista.
Yeah,
because I really like Dave Bautista. I think he is genuinely like a really good actor and one that is underused, and this is a prime example of it because he's in the opening scene and then that's it. See you later. Yeah. He's a really good actor, so was surprised to see him. The scene went exactly as I was expecting it to. You've seen this like a million times before, like you say. Enjoyable though. I think like a good opening piece, a good like mood setter, tone setter for what we're about to see. Really, enjoyable.
He gets back to the precinct and they call him Constant K. And I was like, that's a sad nickname for someone whose job is like be mundane and kill people.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. And that's the springboard of the movie. Like, you see him look suave and cool. And this is what I'm talking about, getting the protagonist right. Like, he's suave and cool and he's got his cool leather coat and he's Ryan Gosling.
I don't like his coat. I'll say it. I don't like the coat.
Fuck you. You're wrong. That's dumb.
No, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I'd be wrong if it was symmetrical. All right, but the fact that it's fucking the collar really annoyed me because the fact that like it's not symmetrical and longer on one side. I get why, because it like wraps around and stuff.
Yeah.
But still, it's just visually I don't like it.
Were you waiting for him to see a seamstress then for the entire movie?
Yeah, the whole time I was like, "Where is the tailor? Please, let's get this sorted."
No, I think you're nuts, man. I think like it goes. You're right. The thing like drapes round. It becomes his like little neck thing. You telling me you've never wanted a coat that went up like that in the winter?
If he wore it like that, then yeah, sure. But the fact that it's just like hanging down on one side the whole time,
because he's rugged. He's a guy that he just doesn't follow the rules, Nathan.
No, I don't like it.
He doesn't adhere to your fashion sense.
He does follow the rules, though. He's a robot who kills other robots.
Yeah, until he doesn't. I know what you're saying, but fuck you. I like that coat a lot. What is it about Ryan Gosling and wearing iconic coats that cause controversy?
It's 2 coats, not that many.
It's enough coats. I don't wear any coats that cause controversy.
Well,
that's 2 more than me, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
That is fair, yeah.
He's cool, and like you see him like everyone's like Dave Bautista's pretty big, and he's like, he tried to kill me, but tap tap, he's dead. He's not happy about it, but you get a sense of like this is his day job, and it literally is his day job.
It was a good fight. I love that Batista just literally shoved him through the fucking wall. Yeah, that was quite enjoyable.
It is great. Yeah. But like he gets back
I like his
to
little glasses as well. Like there's something about seeing a man the size of Dave Bautista and just those tiny little glasses. Which is...
He can't get his prescription. He's like away from like the world. Do you know what, Nathan? Glasses and coats. You're here to put them down today.
I'm not saying the glasses are bad. I'm saying I like them. It looks fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
The coat is bad.
Fuck's sake. But no, I like that he gets to the precinct and he's like immediately his cool suave persona is gone, and like his colleagues are coming up to him and like saying shit in his face, and he's like head down, oh my god. It feels very much like like bully victim in the boys' locker room. Like he's like, head down and this will be over soon, kind of thing.
And this is what I mean about the subtle performance, you know, because it's from one scene to very calm and just like you say, matter of fact, like this is what I do, to then like, oh, I'm a victim of racism here. I'm just gonna keep myself out of the way. Yeah. And it's like that's why the character has to keep himself at a certain level, because if he doesn't, he will be killed. So it's like it plays into the performance. You know, it's important.
Oh, okay. See, I never got that. But now you say that makes sense. I never got the like. It was like everyone was basically prejudiced against him, and like he goes home and he's got like a writing on his door and shit as well.
Yeah, and there's that angry lady in the stairs like screaming at him in whatever language that is. I don't know, but yeah, it's all just like it's just to set up the fact that like he's not welcome in this world, and it's to me.
So everyone hates robots.
Yeah, basically, it's kind of like it's a thing of previously they were slaves or prostitutes or whatever. Like they're basically used, and in this, it's like he's got a service job. He's on a level. He has authority. You know, he can kill. He can do whatever he needs to do in the service of the law. And you can understand why people would have issues with that. But then it's also the fact that they're using him because he can go up against someone like Sapper Morton, played by Dave Bautista, and not get his head smashed in. You know, and like, and that was to me was immediately what made this interesting when I sat down in the cinema, because your first thought was, okay, we're going to have the same through line as the last film. And then as soon as he was put through that wall, I was like, oh no, he's obviously a replicant. Like, there's no way he's surviving that if he's human. Like, this film is not answering that question. Good, I can relax now. And like, you know, and it just goes on to show you the other side of the coin.
He's strong, but he's not like immune to shit. Like he gets fucked up in this movie quite consistently.
Oh yeah.
Like his head's getting kicked in. He's always got like blood dripping out of his ear. He's like pretty much his hair the entire film is blood soaked. So like, just a great look, but it's not a problem because he has a shower that I want your boys' opinions on.
Okay, in what way?
Would you like to take a shower like this, a quick and efficient 2-second shower, or would you prefer the showers we have in modern day?
I'll take the quick and efficient one, to be honest. That sounds good to me.
Nathan?
I'll be honest, I have zero memory of the shower.
The quick shower. He gets in and it's like this water's very purifying or something, and then it goes and it's done.
When was this? Was this at the station or is it home?
Yeah, he comes home.
Yeah, it's like sort of, I don't know, like what would you say, hoses or sort of all around him, the way it's built. They seem to be everywhere, and it's just like all in one massive spray, and then that's it.
I'll take that. Yeah. In and out, quickly done. Not wasting time.
I agree.
Do you reckon? I like it. I like to be in the shower for a bit, be with my thoughts, be with.
I've got shit to do, man. Let's get on with it.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah. Where do we go? What happens in this movie? Well, I'll tell you what.
You meet Joy. That's another cool level. Yeah.
So what's going on here? So
So Nathan, how did you sum it up again? Remind me.
So all right. So she's his girlfriend, who's a robot, maybe, but she's also like a product you can buy, I guess.
She's a hologram.
He's got a parasocial relationship with like is essentially like he's fallen in love with a Twitch streamer and he's bought like a hologram of that Twitch streamer.
Not entirely. Essentially, she is a hologram, and she's a slightly toned down version to what we see later in the film. You know, not to jump too well, we can jump ahead, but like that brilliant scene where it's like the giant purple version of her, and she's a lot more sexualized and like flirty, and you're kind of like, what's this? And you realize like, oh, that's the version they sell basically for like lonely incels and possibly other replicants, who knows? But they essentially, he buys her. The relationship he has with her is a lot sweeter. I think it's a lot more like it's just someone to keep him company so he doesn't feel lonely. But obviously she's a hologram, and it's one of my favorite points of this film, because not only is it just like a step away again from the previous film, which was the whole Rachel's a replicant, but Deckard loves her. What does that mean? It's just like they're both not real, but they both love each other. Discuss is basically what the film says.
But do they love each other, or is she not programmed to love him?
That's the discussion, Nathan.
That's it, isn't it? Because is he not programmed? Like,
well, I don't know.
Because she calls him Joe, and then what happens later on when he sees the massive advertisement? She goes, "You look like a good Joe," and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Oh gosh, you were not having an original thought. My day is ruined.
And when you watch everything that she says as the film goes on, she is basically mimicking him. You know, she tells him what he wants to hear. I mean, that's what the advert says. It's like, I think it says something like, she's the way you want her to be, or like what you want to see, what you want to hear. Basically. And that's when you're like, oh, dang. Okay, so he was being led along by something that he thought he basically forgot wasn't real. Yeah, which is so good.
One of my favorite things about the character of Joy is how it's like to call it like a cycle of violence is not correct, but like it is a cycle of control. It's do to others as has been done to you, I guess. Okay. Like not in like a rude and gives her orders kind of way, but in a way that like his day job is to go somewhere as a discriminated against robot, essentially. Like, I'm boiling it down to the bare fucking like what it is. Like his job is to go somewhere as a discriminated against robot to carry out orders. He probably doesn't want to do that much, but is just like, whatever, this is my lot in life. And he comes home to a robot that he has purchased, which is like just some other level of like, I don't believe he does it to be above anyone. I do believe it is that companionship, and he'd be lonely as anything without her. But there is an interesting element of like, where does the like that cycle of control is something that's prevalent. Like we get it later on with Love, and how she just like, spoiler alert, but again, if you're here, then we're going to be talking about spoilers. How Love just fucking kills Joy by essentially wiping her last copy out, and then refers to her as a product. Like there's a nature of like replicant anger towards stuff that's below even them on the food chain of society or whatever, which is
absolutely
it's fucking heavy. I came out like the credits rolled on this, and I was like, oh, Jesus fuck, I don't know what's like. It's a lot to unpack. I don't know.
And then there's the whole, like, if we're sticking with Joy for a second, the whole sort of sex scene, which is her syncing up with a replicant. And it's like, not only is just visually is it stunning to watch, it's like, how do they do this? You know, as I'm watching it, but like, but what it represents. And then I think the character, I forget her name, played by Mackenzie Davis, I want to say, says to Joy afterwards, she's just like, quiet now, I've been inside you. There's not as much there as you'd think. And initially you think that's kind of like a dig, or it's part of that anger, which I think it is, but it's also a massive clue to the audience, you know, because by that point you're kind of bought into her and the fact that she's invested in Kay. And so it kind of, you know what I mean? The relationship seems so real as much as it is limited, that when she drops that line, it is like a massive clue to the audience to be like, yeah, remember, she's a hologram. No, she's not. Yeah. She's only programmed for a certain amount here.
Well, I think you get that sense in like how the design, again, like Denis knows how to fucking do sci-fi, and he knows like good concepts. But there's always a level to Joy where she's like, she's transparent enough for you to remember that she's not there. Yeah. But she's also just Ana de Armas walking around on screen enough for you to be like, she absolutely is. And it's so hard to like, because every now and again you do get that reminder of, she's not even fucking real. Or like she'll change her clothes or something quickly, like and it will glitch, and you'll be like, oh yeah, what? I don't know. Where do you land on? Because I don't know if you're confused over Joy, Nathan, or if you're like,
no, I think I get it. I think I understand it. Like everything you're saying makes sense. I didn't like the sex scene. I thought it was a little uncomfortable, really.
Oh, okay.
The syncing up part was quite strange. And also, they never, like, fully synced up as well. Like, Ana de Armas was like, be quiet, I'm trying to sync. But then they never synced up. There was always, like, a bit of a delay between the two, really. Yeah. Which, I mean, visually it was interesting and stuff, but I don't know. The whole thing just made me feel uncomfortable, because I was still trying to, like, work out, like, but what is going on? Like, is any of this consensual? Like, I don't fully understand. So yeah, it was all quite strange. But where it ends up, it's definitely very interesting. Definitely something to like chew on. And I don't know if it's like a comment on like incels and the parasocial relationships they have and that sort of stuff. But I don't know. It's interesting.
Like a lot of this movie, I think later on it touches on this a bit clearer. There's an element of like, maybe this isn't necessarily intended, but it's just maybe an interesting thought that I had while watching it, and probably is a thought had by other people as well. There's this element of in trying to become real, quote unquote, for Kay, she, like Nathan said, there's a jarring disconnect in like her syncing up, and in the scene where she's trying to be her most real and human for Kay, she appears her least natural, her most robotic. And that's really interesting. And I think there's definitely something there. Like, I think there's something there in the sense of like studios recreating like CGI dead people.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. Yeah.
The closer you get to it, the closer you get to photorealism, there's a sense of uncanniness that, like, it feels like you're being lied to, and it feels unsettling. And I don't know, where do you land on the whole scene, Harley?
I kind of read it as you initially are fed it as an audience that she wants to do this for him out of love. You know, she senses that he spoke to this woman earlier and that he likes her, and she's like, I can be real for you. And it comes across like a romantic gesture. But when you factor in that her entire programming is to basically reflect what her host wants, that's what it is. It's her just giving him what he wants, even if he doesn't realize it's what he actually wants. When you look at it like that, it's actually, it's quite sad, because you realize that what should be like a very kind of open and sort of romantic, almost self-sacrificing in a way, like kind of gesture is actually completely empty. It's merely a transaction. It's merely her doing what she's supposed to do, but taking it to the furthest level. It's like, it's that computer AI kind of logic of just like, oh, you want this thing? Well, I can do this. Therefore, you're happy now. My program is complete.
Yeah.
You know, it's far more cold and transactional like that. And that's sort of what unravels later on in the film.
My heart just kind of snapped clean in two at that moment you were talking about with the big joy. Like, the moment where he's essentially walking, like, it's after Watershed, and Kay is walking the streets, so therefore there are naked adverts. And Joy is there, and it's obvious that her programming, like you say, Harley, is clearly more geared towards incels that want to have sexual encounters, that want to buy them and have them on a whim and at their command, which is, you know, obviously gross in itself, but that's the point. But then, like, when you realize that is the basis of their relationship and the original programming that she had, like, one of her purposes as a partner to Kay is to help him see that he's like special, and it's interesting that he only can really discover what being real means when he sees that was all just kind of bullshit. I'd fucked. Oh, it's gonna ruin let's move on from Joy, because it's gonna ruin my day. I don't know, where do you guys want to take this? Harley, what do you want to talk about?
I mean, I guess we're kind of moving through it fairly logically with the story. I like that. So I guess to sort of carry on where the investigation picks up, right? When they discover the bones, and that's the whole thrust of the story, is they realize, oh, a replicant gave birth, and it's not just any replicant, it's Rachel. This is another thing I love about this movie, is to what you just said towards the start of the conversation, that you don't necessarily have to have seen the first film to follow this. And I've watched this movie with people that haven't seen the first one, and they understand the basic thrust of the story. It's just one of those, like, if you've seen it, it means a lot more to you when you're like, oh, damn, that's Rachel. Okay. Ooh, that's an interesting development. Where's this going? You know what I mean? Like, for people like me sat in the audience going, oh, did not see that coming.
You're like, oh man, that's Rachel's head from the first movie. That's her head. Well, we can live test this. Nathan, were you on board with the bones and all of that, what that was going on?
I didn't have a clue what was going on. Not a clue. But I think that's more my issue. I think I spent a lot of time, like, knowing I didn't fully know the first movie story.
Fair
I was
enough.
like, I don't know any of this. Like, who is this person? Like, what's going on? I was constantly trying to, like, work stuff out, but in doing so, just not focusing on like what the story was telling me, basically.
Gotcha.
All right. So Rachel was a robot who's now dead.
Yep.
But she got pregnant. Okay, so robots can get pregnant.
Yeah.
But maybe they can't. But Jared Leto doesn't want people to know robots can get pregnant.
So thus we enter the Jared Leto portion of this conversation. I'll start by saying up top that he was not the original choice. It was actually David Bowie, but he sadly passed.
Okay.
But
interesting.
I've got a bunch of stuff to say about Jared Leto in this. Do you know what, to be fair, as much as he is a person I can't really stand for reasons that are outside of his performance in this film, he is very good in it. And he plays it exactly right. I mean, in my notes, I just wrote, he's a slaver with a god complex. That's basically what he is in this film. He's Tyrell from the first film, just slightly worse, because now he's rescued people from the mess that Tyrell left. So he's got even more of an ego. And yeah, the basic thrust of the story where it intersects is it's not that he doesn't want people to know. He's all up for replicants being able to reproduce. He just can't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, it's because that discovery hasn't come from him that he's like,
yes,
how dare someone know something beyond me? I didn't know that about David Bowie, and I love the idea of Denis looking through his phone book and being like, I need just a dick with a god complex, and being like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. This is I'm calling Jared Leto straight away.
Yeah. I mean, a fun fact: he's blind, obviously, in this film. His character, and I love the design of that. It's a little like weird fish robots that are like flying around, and he's just got like a dead-eyed stare. He wore contact lenses for this performance, which is very much in his keeping, right? I mean, the whole Morbius crutches thing. It's his what he likes to do. Man, I don't know about you guys. I've raised this point on another podcast, and I'll raise it here because I think it's one worth discussing. I often wonder with him, right? I get the whole warming up to a performance. I can understand, like, if you're acting, like, let's say he's in the scene and you go, could I get some lenses? Just that might help. Fair enough. I got no issue with that. I think, yeah, if you use a prop, by all means. But it's the fact that he would have been walking around on set all day like that. Yeah. And people would have had to help him. Same with the Morbius thing, right? Where he was on crutches and it came out that people had to, like, help him to the bathroom and stuff in between takes. And you're like, mate, come on. And it makes me think about the fact that he's in a band, right? And I can't, and stay with me on this, but I'm like, okay, you're in a band. I get you got to warm up for your guitar, your vocals, whatever. Does he just stay in song like all day when he's on set? You know what I mean? When he's recording an album, or if he's about to perform at a festival, people going up to him and like, "Oh, Jared, nice to meet you. Can I get a autograph?" And he's like, "Yes, of course you can." Like, is he just that insufferable like all day as a musical performer as much as he is an actor? That's what I want to know.
Method acting. Mm-hmm. What a load of bullshit. I hate it. Okay. And this has been in the news recently as well, and it's like. I think, was it Andrew Garfield who said, like...
Robert Pattinson.
No, I think it was Andrew Garfield. Oh, maybe it was Robert Pattinson. Some British guy who plays an American superhero was like, it's all... You never hear about people doing method acting to be nice. Yeah. It's always just whenever they're playing just the biggest fucking creep and they just need to just act like a dickhead all day, basically. Mm-hmm. Lawrence, we've done acting. Mm-hmm. Method acting, complete bullshit. There is absolutely no reason that you need to do it.
I understand some people will need a process. I am completely okay with method acting up until the point where, like, if you need to go and listen to some sad boy music in the corner of the room and fucking ignore the world, right? Yeah. Crack on if your job isn't going to be hindered by it. Like, if you're needed for other people's scenes and you're like, I need to listen to Evanescence or whatever, like, fuck, just grow up and do your fucking job. Like, it's not, I've never seen a purpose to it where it's that difficult. And Nathan's right, it is always just for creeps. And it is always like, I don't know, you just don't get people method acting.
There's a weird form of method acting that comes from Ryan Gosling in this, which is the juxtaposition in this film. I only learned this recently. It's in the baseline test, which is like a step up from the Voight-Kampff test in the first film, where they look at your eye and they ask you, what happens if you kick a turtle over? Do you feel sad? That kind of thing. Yeah. It's very weird, but it's all about empathy. And in this one, it's a post-traumatic baseline, and hence why he's saying, like, within cells interlinked, and it's like repeating words and all of this. Apparently that came from Ryan Gosling. It's
really?
It's a little tool he uses to kind of basically concentrate. Like, people feed lines and he'll like repeat them back and make sure he's got the right line. Yeah. And it's sort of a way of like dropping in to a character and into a scene. But that's how you do it well. That's how you do it in a way that doesn't interrupt everybody else's day, or a poor runner's now got to like hold your hand while you walk to the bathroom, even though you're like a 50-year-old man with perfect vision and working legs.
That sums it up for me, because it's like when you hinder people's days to the point where, like, I can imagine, like, because runners chew shit. That's their job. Like, they just clean up other people's messes and run shit around all fucking day. Mm-hmm. So, like, if your job is, if you're immediately assigned to Mr. Leto, probably quite a big opportunity. And it's far less embarrassing to say, I fed him lines for an acting exercise, than it is to say, I pulled his pants down and wiped his ass.
It's just weird, isn't it?
It is weird. Yeah. And what your point about the musical, like, no, it's purely because in the industry of acting and performance, someone a long time ago invented that it can be helpful to be a prick and live in your character. So he went, oh, that sounds amazing. I'm going to be a dick all day.
That's my go-to analogy. Is like, if he did the singing as stupid as I made it sound, like, but if he actually did that the guy would blow his voice out and he'd be done after one day.
Yeah,
It's like, and it's the same with acting, isn't it? You don't have to be in character all the time. You can just stand on the X and say your line, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly. Especially on a film set as well, because like
Yeah.
so much of like film acting requires you to step out at the moment and to like see like what is actually going on. You have to do it from different angles. You have to do it over and over and over again. So I struggle to understand how you can do that in character.
Yeah.
Really, it's quite difficult.
And how you don't get embarrassed by it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mercifully, though, he was on this for 2 weeks, so, you know, minimal damage.
And then everyone had a party on his rap day.
Yes.
But not for the reasons he thought they were having a party. Okay, so what happens? Where do we go? What happens?
Yeah, so I guess from there, yeah, I mean, so Wallace is after Rachel and he's after answers. He wants to find the kid because, as you've rightly pointed out, Lawrence, he's just upset that someone beat him to it and he wants to figure out what's going on. And therein lies the story of Kay just trying to track down this kid, but maybe he is the kid. We don't know. And Nathan, I really enjoyed your back and forth on that during your summary.
It was fun to watch and try to figure out what was going on. I feel like the moment where like Ryan Gosling himself kind of like had the, you know, where he found the horse and then like he went back to the orphanage and he found the horse. That was a really good moment. That was like, because you saw him looking at it like, is it real? Do I want to even go and fucking look and see? Like, I don't even want to tempt this. Like, what does that mean if it is actually there and shit? Like, very good scene. Very interesting stuff, really.
That was the moment I knew it was my favorite film. I sat in the cinema, just the music, the look on his face, the way the story came together. I just like, oh, I'm so in on this. Like, I really want to know what's happening next.
There's like, for his character as well, there's deep conflict because like to heal from his like past, to heal from the trauma of his life being an outcast and rejected and not as worthy of life as other people that he like inhabits space with, that memory being real and that memory being his directly tie into like, if it's true and I'm this child, then I can start to recover from, I have inner peace. I'm real. I know that I'm a thing. I exist. I'm a person. But it also just brings him a world of shite because then he's like, but I'm also the target of so many powerful people. And just the juxtaposition of that cruel, like, it's irony. It's literally like, you know, you want to be happy, but it comes at a price. And like the movie's choice to lead us into, and Brent, when I said I've seen this twice, this was the one I started to understand it more. So like, I was like, imagine understanding it at a surface level, finally being like, oh my God, he's the child. That's a big thing. And then it gets to the end and I'm like, oh no, this is not what I thought was happening.
Yeah. You see at the end, like, to jump ahead a little bit, but like at the end when he's with this like group of like resistance fighters or whatever the fuck's going on there, and like they just the way that they just casually dropped the she, and it was just so fucking casual and just so like matter of fact. I was just like, oh, I got it wrong. They must have said that like he's not the kid, and that was always the case. Like, I misinterpreted or some shit. I didn't even realize like this was a reveal moment until like Ryan Gosling was like, wait, what the fuck is happening now? I'm not the kid. Like,
that's that reserved performance from him again. Like the camera and Roger Deakins shot this in a really interesting way. There's so many opportunities for it to cut away. But you kind of like even the moment where Ryan Gosling gets the horse, and he sees the horse. We stay on that horse for so fucking long,
and his reaction,
and you see his hands shake, and only when his hands have been shaking for an uncomfortably long time.
Sorry, when you said Ryan Gosling gets the horse, I was like, was there a horse in this movie? I was like, I don't remember a horse, and then the wooden horse.
Someone tries to get him a horse. The "I'm the captain now" guy.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah. Captain Phillips guy. Yeah.
But yeah, no, just the way the camera moves, that you stay on that handshaking for so long, and then you cut to Ryan Gosling as he's already mid breakdown. Like, it would be such an obvious choice to be like, give the actor their meltdown moment, get him the Oscar, get him a nomination at least. But it's more interested in like what that horse means, and what that horse means is more integral to the core of the movie than how Ryan Gosling's character feels about it.
And it's helping you to be in his shoes as a character, because it's a holy crap moment. Like, you look at it and you're like, oh, oh no, and and everything you just said, Lawrence, I was just so happy to hear you say that, because you're absolutely right. It is that kind of like, but now he's real. That means that everything that's happened to him, he can move forward, but also he's in a lot of danger, and like you have all the conflict, and it's just like you said, it's the camera, it's everything, just letting you sit in the moment and just kind of go, oh, okay, now what? You just don't really know where he's gonna go.
I'm fucked in one way or another. Which way would I rather be fucked in? Yeah, basically.
Yeah. There's an insane robot chasing him and hunting him down. And like this insane robot, at first she wasn't insane. She was like quite pleasant and nice with him, but I guess that was an act because she works for Jared Leto. Harley, what's going on with this insane robot?
Love, played by Sylvia Hoeks, I think is how you pronounce her name. She's amazing.
Yes.
She's
very good.
Terrifying in this film.
Very scary. Very scary. She'll kill anyone.
Oh,
for anything. She'll kill David Dasmalchian.
What a horrendous death, by the way.
Just smacked in the back of the head,
Yeah, just twatted into a neck break.
Yeah.
And like you sneeze out your own brain. Like,
poor guy.
Yeah.
He always gets a bad run of things. He always
does,
has,
He's just got one of those faces, isn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He was being a bit racist earlier, though, to replicants, so
He
I can
was.
forgive it.
Yeah, that was the setup. Love is fascinating to me. She's like the other. I don't know. She's kind of like what Kay would be like if he was, under a absolute manic slaver with a god complex, as opposed to just a fairly reasonable police chief played by Robin Wright. It's two sides of the other coin. She's the one that she's trapped. She's like the first time you meet her, Ryan Gosling, Kay immediately clocks that she's one of him and says, "Oh, he named you. He must like you." And it's like that thing of she's someone's property, and that really horrible scene where sort of Wallace is examining a new replicant and then just kills her outright because he's like, well, you're not going to bear me a child. Like he knows it's failed. And that's that again, that sets him up as such a great villain, because to him, they really are just disposable. Even though he's created them, you think he'd have this kind of love for them or like affection. No, again, it's the evil side of a god complex where it's like, no, I made you. I can do whatever I like with you. And
he calls them his angels.
Yes.
And stuff. And I don't like it.
And love is in the background. And and I watched this scene today, watching her reaction for that entire scene. It's brilliant acting by her, because you just see, similar to Kay, it's like all of this pain and fear and terror, and she's just holding it in. And so, the second she gets an ounce of power, she lashes out, and then like kicks him in the face, or, like stabs Robin Wright, or like smacks David Dasmalchian in the back of the head. Yeah. Like it's just what you're seeing is just rage.
What made me laugh quite a bit. I don't think it was supposed to be a funny moment at all, and probably quite the opposite actually. But when they have Deckard later in the movie, and they bring out the Rachel, like the younger the Rachel model or whatever. And then he's like, oh, she has different color eyes. And just straight away, like, she does not hesitate to pull out that gun and just shoot her in the face. It is like so quick and just, faulty products, get rid of it, bang, go, see you later.
Yep, exactly. Ugh. And I mean, just sort of jump ahead of just staying on this character, like right the way down to her death. Her fight with Kay is so intense, all of it. The scrambling around, stabbing him, and then I just feel so uncomfortable every time I watch that scene when he just holds her underwater, because it's just so real. Like the way they shot that, like to your point earlier, Lawrence, like the fact they hold on it, and it's not like I guess some Hollywood movies they kind of cut away, or like he splash for like 10 seconds and then it's over. It goes on for like a good minute, and again it's the both of them, like him just kind of almost exasperated and fed up with all of this, and like just taking no pleasure in this. It's not him killing her because he wants revenge. It's just she's in the way, and her just clawing, like how she starts off really angry and like thrashing like an animal, and then it just gets more and more desperate, and it's just really sad. And by the end, you're like, oh, you poor thing. Like she's just like, it's like when someone gets like a wild animal as a pet, and like it's got this strength and this power that they don't appreciate, and they just keep it in a cage and poke it with a stick, and that's what she is. She's just this ball of anger, and it's just tragic that's how she goes out.
Something I didn't notice the first time, and I noticed this time, is she kills the LAPD captain the same way that she watches the replicant get killed by Wallace.
Yes.
With like just a gut to the stomach, and then like she is fucking haunting. The way she like picks her up for the facial scanner and then just drops her lifeless head onto the table.
Yeah.
fucked, man.
But again, it's like, where has she learned that from?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, it's that mirror. Yeah, such a great performance, and just like a really good antagonist for that. I mean, that's why she says, "I'm the best one," because it seems like a weird line, but it's like that's all she cares about.
Yeah, let's talk about Harrison Ford.
Yes,
because he's back. The big man this was his second in the line of redoing his big roles. The Star Wars Blade Runner.
Technically the third.
Yeah, I'd say technically the third.
Oh, because
yes,
of Crystal Skull. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. Well, they did it again now, and it threw me off.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I saw that the other day, actually. I don't know if you guys have had a chance.
No, I haven't seen it yet. No.
Okay,
no,
all right. I will keep shut up.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it, and if we're talking about Harrison Ford giving a performance where he clearly cares, it's definitely on the list.
So I don't know much about his relationship to this franchise, but as Nathan said earlier, like especially where Star Wars is concerned, he's very much like, I like Star Wars, but you guys are fucking too much.
Yeah.
How's his relationship to this franchise?
My understanding is he's always been quite fond of it, but I don't know if that's also just money. I mean,
look, you can be fond of one thing and also like $20 million at the same time.
Exactly, yeah. I often think back to a Nick Mason riff about that, about how like he was asked in an interview and he sort of almost had like a flashback to talking with his agent, being like, oh, by the way, Blade Runner might be coming up, so make sure you say you want to do Blade Runner so you get that role. And it's quite funny, but I'm also, I don't know, I just feel like in this, he cares. That's what comes across to me. Because you could have done this film without him. You could have done this film, like Rachel's dead in the movie. Okay, like you said, we get like a clone version of her later, but that stuff isn't essential to this film. Like there is a version of this film that would have quite comfortably existed without Deckard. But so that to me, the fact that he just did it speaks to...
He's not in it much.
No, exactly. He's in it like the last 40 minutes.
Yeah, roughly.
So... and it's a great reveal, and it's just fun. His whole interaction with Kay is brilliant from the word go, that he's like quoting Treasure Island, and it's just like this grumpy old man with a dog who's got bombs everywhere, and his first instinct is to try and shoot him, and then that doesn't work. He just starts punching him in the face repeatedly. He's lived in fear for 30 years,
I think he gets the indie treatment. Like
yes,
like in his return to like, any time that Indiana Jones has a moment, it's the come out the shadows. And that's exactly what you get in this. You get his voice again. You don't see him for a long time, but Harrison Ford's 80-year-old man voice.
Yeah.
I can't
you
remember
don't got
exactly
any cheese on you, do you, boy?
Yeah,
and you're like, there he is.
And what a line in this incredibly serious and depressing movie. And it's like, don't suppose you got any cheese. But yeah, coming out the shadows, that's great, and his presence is there from fucking like the get-go. But it's also like, it's just a really interesting kind of take on the character, because like there must be, I'm curious to get your opinion on this, Harley, like is there somewhat of a disconnect? Because in the first movie, it definitely is a product of its time.
Yes.
And there are elements where the romance feels very forced and non-consensual.
Yeah, and it's part of the book as well. Like, I think in the book he's also married, or he's like in the middle of a divorce. Like, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read it, but like, the treatment towards women, it is like quite. He just doesn't care. It's a very sort of typical noir kind of character, right? Where they're womanizers, they're drinkers, they're smokers. It's just that, but just in the future. So that's kind of his character. Whereas, I feel like the version we get in this has a lot of regrets. And he's someone that looks back at his life and just, I think it's just sad, and like is grief stricken and depressed, and it's just such an interesting place to see this character.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like the nature of his whole monologue about how like you have to, like, sometimes to love someone you have to be a stranger. Yeah, and like you see how in his predicament that's entirely true.
Yeah.
But it's also the scenario he's built for himself.
Basically, it also fixes something that I heard you say earlier, Nathan, because you were wondering if Kay is meant to be like a clone or like a similar thing to the daughter. That's what's clarified with Deckard is him saying, I showed them how to scramble the records. So when we go back to that bit where he found the daughter and then found the son and they were born on the same day, but one of them died, That was all him. That was him just throwing red herrings to try and lead them off the scent. And so it's also quite interesting hearing him, talk about that, as you say, Lawrence, with the fact that he's like, oh, so you had to sever all ties and run. And it kind of makes sense. And it's one of those where, like, he's not doing it just to be a selfish dad that's going to go and live in Vegas and have a good time. It's like, no, he's in hiding. He's just banished himself, kind of, Yoda style or Obi-Wan style, if you will. Sent himself to the desert to be sad.
There's like, weirdly enough, there's such a throwaway line that I think is the entire point of the movie. I've never seen a movie go, here's my thesis in one line as much as this.
Go on.
The moment where he pours whiskey on the floor for his dog. His dog drinks it and he goes, is that even real? And he goes, I don't know, ask him.
Yes.
And it's like, and like that, genuinely that moment, like the cogs in my brain that were like, just like, I was watching it obviously, like fairly passively up until this point. And the cogs in my brain be like, maybe this is a masterpiece. Like, maybe this is genuinely like a really fucking good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like, it doesn't fucking matter what's real. What matters is like how you take in something that you think is real, or like, because there is fact. There is a fact that fucking Kay is a replicant, right? Kay is not this prophesized chosen one, nor is the so-called prophesized chosen one or whatever. Like there is no divine figure to lead them in this revolution. Like there's nothing going on there, but none of that fucking matters. I don't know. This is probably like such a surface level breakthrough, but like I just, it clicked for me with that one line, and the fact that it was about a line of Harrison Ford and his weird dog.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that dog's okay as well, because it just got
me too. That was like my biggest thing. I was like, when the dog got blown up, I was like, oh, this is awful.
The dog didn't get blown up.
No, well, they all got thrown back when
the dog was far away.
Yeah.
You get that scene where he walks along and is like, oh no, my buddy's gone, and then the replicants show up and take him. So
there was a moment though where like you wasn't quite sure. You saw all three of them get like thrown back with the explosion. Terrible guard dog, like just awful.
Oh yeah, it's true.
But
dogs take on their owners' personalities, right? And Harrison Ford has just been chilling watching Elvis for like 30 years.
Yeah. I love that fight in that little
That's a good fight.
auditorium, and the fact that it just comes in and out at just random moments. Like there is no rhythm to it whatsoever, or no rhyme. Like you cannot predict when it's going to start up again, and I love that. It's such a nice touch. There's something else in that whole setup actually that I think is another interesting giveaway. The Frank Sinatra hologram. I don't know if you caught this.
I saw Frank Sinatra, but I don't know what that means.
Well, there's a song, and in one of the lyrics of this song, he says the words "set 'em up, Joe," and it's like a brilliant little, like, again, it's like a little Easter egg for the audience. It's like another little nod. It's almost like a foreshadowing, I would say, actually, of like what's about to come in that fact that it's another hologram calling him Joe. It's just
one of them. You watch it for a second time. I had two moments of that today. I watched two movies. One of them was Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, and this one. And there's a line in that which, now you're saying it, that hurts, because I was so happy with myself for catching this one line in Rogue Nation, and now I'm pissed off I missed this one. The line in Rogue Nation was Ethan Hunt on the phone to Solomon Lane goes, "I'm going to put you in a box."
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, he quite literally puts him in a little glass box. Fuck's sake, now I'm annoyed.
Lawrence, to be fair, I've watched this film multiple times, so I'm pretty sure I'm in the double digits now. So like, it's
Okay, fair enough. We obviously we don't want to make this too long, so let's hit the greatest hits of the movie. The Rachel scene. I'd imagine as a fan of like a diehard fan of the original, you've got some stuff on this. It
was just brilliant. I think it's just, again, it's Harrison Ford is my takeaway from that. I think when I wrote that in my notes, I just was like, Harrison Ford just brings it. It's just a really, really powerful, moving moment where, like, again, if you haven't seen it, you get it, because he sells the moment of like, you understand, oh yeah, someone's just brought his wife back to life, and it's just like, here you go. And like, you can imagine like the way he just sells that as someone who's been grief stricken for decades, to suddenly be presented with a version of the person that you love more than anyone. It must just be like, what is happening? And it's just the way he does it so subtly, of like, initially holds her hand, you can see him like tearing up, and then just the her eyes were green, and then just walks away, and you're like, there he is. Like, he just sort of, it's like they're starting to crack. And it's also just super messed up from Wallace to use that as like, he says it's for joy, but it's just to really mess with him. Like, it's more torture, it's more pain.
Yeah, it's breaking him down, right?
Yeah, exactly. But super awesome. They got a young lady to double as her, and then they sort of deep faked her face on top, which is why it looks a lot better than sort of your kind of your Carrie Fishers and things like that. No offense, but some of those could be very uncanny valley. This one, I sort of was watching it and like you can still tell, but it's not as offensive as others.
Didn't they Guy Henry it in Rogue One, Nathan?
For Tarkin?
Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did they get someone for Leia? Did Billy Lord stand in?
It wasn't Billy Lord. No, Billy Lord did Leia in episode 9. For Rogue One, they had, I believe it was a young Swedish actress or some sort of Scandinavian country.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know if he even is Swedish, but my head went to the guy who took over Chewbacca, the Juntas man.
He's definitely Scandinavian. Yeah, Juntas.
Could be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, as if I just pronounced the J.
And you always do that. I always correct you. Juntas.
What a swine I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there's something in that, like, interesting as well, just talking about Star Wars too. Like, I read that scene as very much like again, this is something I mentioned earlier as well, but I'm not sure if it's just in my mind because, like, I've just seen The Flash and, like, I've watched have you seen The Flash before I do this?
No, but I've listened to you, The Weekly Planet, a bunch of other people talk about it, and I'm aware of like the weird PS3 cutscene that happens towards the end.
Yeah,
okay.
But PS3 is generous.
PS2. Yeah.
Is it GameCube? Are we going that far back?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just gonna remind audiences there that he mentioned that he listened to us and then The Weekly Planet. So if we're the go-to podcast, then that's fine.
It was the other way around. I was just naming you first to be nice.
I think he was just being polite, Lawrence.
Also, release dates.
Yeah, like they released theirs a week before.
He waited. He's a fan. I don't know.
No, I cannot listen to a Weekly Planet unless I've heard Lawrence first. It would not be fair.
Well, this is what I'm saying. The stuff in The Flash, like, I don't know whether I've just seen too many resurrected dead people recently.
Yeah.
There's something about this entire sequence that is very in line with. I think this is, because of the nature of this film, this is a film that was popular in the 80s and they came about in modern context, whatever, like in modern day setting, and they were like, the guy's coming back. The guy from the 80s who is now old is coming back and he's doing this. This has happened fucking a million times with every franchise imaginable.
Yeah. Legacy sequels, big thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they make a lot of money and blah, 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 whatever. But the thing I think this is commenting on is such if Jared Leto's character is a studio and Harrison Ford's character is like an audience or like a returning consumer of their content, then him bringing Rachel forward and being like, look at this thing that you love, which is young and shiny and brand new. And then they go, nope, this is not how I remember. I don't like it. And the studio just executes it on the spot and is like, we tried, let's do it again. Let's figure something else out. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching, but I feel like there's something there.
No, I think you could be right, yeah.
I think it can be read that way. I think if it had come out in the year of our Lord 2023 or later, then I would say it would absolutely be intentional.
Yeah.
But in, 2017, was it? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's the thing that threw me off is the timing of it.
Yeah, because all that sort of stuff was only like just getting off the ground then, really.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But this is set in the future, so there's a possibility they knew it was happening.
Yeah, that's true.
let's sidestep that.
I kind of loved. We sort of jump back to the Purple Joy thing. The thing I loved about that, just to set up the final act, which is him going after Deckard because he's been told you have to kill him, and basically the way that gut punch is delivered, it just leaves you with a place of mystery of what the character's going to do next. Because now you're like, okay, this guy has nothing left to lose. You as the sort of audience watching the story through his eyes are like, well, I don't know what to believe anymore. Like, everything we thought was real is completely gone. So now you're like, what is he going to do? And the fact that it ends with him sacrificing himself basically so that Deckard can meet his child. It's just a stunning ending. I thought it was such a beautiful way for it to end, just for him to do the most human thing
Yeah.
You know, as everybody else in this film, particularly all the humans of this, are being cold, calculating, self-serving. He's the only one that does something completely altruistic, and it's just like, no, you need to meet your child. I'm just going to lie out here and die in the snow.
What's going on with the child? Are they like
Go on.
So like they make home movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But that are like memories.
Yes.
But do they have some sort of like illness? Or
yes.
something?
So that's another clue.
Okay.
So she says, "Oh, it's an autoimmune disease." So like, I'm basically have to like shield and
quarantined constantly.
basically.
Yeah.
And moments before that, when he was looking up the records, it said that the daughter died of an autoimmune disease. So it's like another little thing they sprinkle in as sort of. Again, it's what this film does so well. I think his experience on Prisoners must have helped, of like being able to sprinkle in the details so that when you watch it a second time, you're like, oh yeah, it's obvious. Like he's.
They even do it with Joy because like you see the holograms of Joy.
Yeah,
like,
you
quite
do.
A lot
You do.
Throughout the whole movie, really.
Exactly right, Nathan. Exactly. So yeah, and I love their interaction when Kay's getting her to look at the dream, and because you're so focused on Kay's journey and what this means to him, you almost miss her response. And again, I'm watching her this time, and the fact that she cries when she watches it, and is like really, she suddenly goes very quiet. Like when we meet her, she's very, polite and smiling and like quite open and just like, yeah, how are you? Yeah, of course I'll help. And the second she sees that, you see something change in her face, and she goes very reserved. And I love the line, "Someone lived this."
Yeah,
That is so subtle, and it's just so like you could see her just trying not to give the game away. And again, I was like, brilliant.
It's the first like she drop, isn't it? Like Nathan said, it's the first massive clue. It's not like, oh, this is real, this happened to you. Like,
yes,
it's such a clever use of language in that bit. I think, I don't know. I just, that bit where he goes and sees like Joy, and it's after he's met up with the Matrix Revolutions cast in the gutter. And
it's kind of teasing a sequel, which is now going to be a TV series.
Yeah, and they've gone like, look, you're not the chosen one, but it doesn't matter. We have a chosen one, and then she's going to lead us into battle or whatever the fuck. It's all it's a bit metaphorical. Firstly, I love the fact that like we're led to believe that they are just not going to like they probably will find her, but like that when they get there, they're going to be very upset that she can't leave the four walls that she's confined to.
Yeah.
Just a complete subversion of that like deity figure, like this miracle child that will bring us out of the darkness or whatever the fuck. But yeah, that bit where like he's just had that moment and he's walking the streets and he sees Joy, and that like when she calls him Joe, that realization that like regardless of circumstance, regardless of anything, like it's such an incredible moment, because I think it not only shatters what he thinks being real means, but also shows him in another roundabout sense that being the movie sets up that being called Joe is synonymous with being special, being a person, being real. That's like a thing it starts to do.
Yeah.
And when he's called Joe by a joy that isn't his joy, he gets the realization that like this sounds so dumb, but being a Joe is something that you can fucking get. You can just decide it. Like you can choose to buy it in the literal sense. Yeah. But it's not something that's ever special about one person individually. It's about going, oh, no, I'm not Kay. I am Joe. I'm aware this sounds dumb as rocks, but like...
As long as you're self-aware.
Yeah, no, but because I keep checking myself and being like, it sounds like I'm saying that he's going to be a G.I. Joe or something, but like, no, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, being a Joe is synonymous with being special, and you can purchase a joy that will tell you you're a Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
And anyone can purchase that joy. Joy is like essentially like an incel fucking, for less of a horrible phrase. She's a click and fucking command person you can have around the house to do all manner of horrible shit, I'd imagine. And yeah, just the fact that you can pay someone to have that validation also means that you can just decide it. It's a mind thing. It's a mental barrier that he gets himself past. And yeah, how that leads him into like, he gets told earlier on in the movie that like nothing is more human than dying for something you believe in. Yeah. And then you see him in that fight start to take one too many hits, and you're like, oh no. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Now that I think about it, speaking of that Joy scene with the big hologram, I do very specifically remember seeing that in the trailer. And I want to ask you, Harley, was that frustrating?
Not at all, no.
at all?
Because, I mean, I think thinking back to the trailer, I mean, the trailer shows you that. It shows you Harrison Ford stepping out of the shadows, but it doesn't give anything away because, the larger part of the story is just so dense you couldn't possibly put that into a trailer if you tried.
Yeah.
I don't think that they were necessarily not hiding like you can buy a joy.
Yeah.
I think it was more just the realization that he never changed his joy. His joy was always reverting back to like the primary default settings.
Yeah. It's the role those characters were going to play within the story. You're completely unaware.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, his sacrifice at the end. What do you make of the ending, Nathan? Because this is something I've seen a fucking gazillion ending explained. What did it really mean? Who's the son? Who's the child? Whatever. Like, what did you make?
Well, there was no son, was there?
No.
Okay. Right. So I did understand that bit. So,
yeah, you got that.
Okay. I was like, was there a hidden son? All right. Yeah, so he just dies.
Basically.
He's dead in the snow. I like the idea of then Harrison Ford just coming out like 10 minutes later and being like, oh shit, that dude's dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's Harrison Ford going to do? Because he just kind of has to stand there now, doesn't he?
Well, I don't know. He's meeting his daughter, so I guess it's
sort of what he'll live at that facility now, I guess.
We're just doing the stupid thing now of being like, it's a beautiful ending, but what does it mean for him in 10 years' time? Is he just going to have a picnic chair by the door?
Maybe, and a shotgun. Just flop back and forth. I want to see my daughter. You know?
No, seriously though, yeah, it's quite a nice. Probably isn't the best way to describe it, but it's like it's quite a heartfelt ending, really.
Yeah.
Like I say, the sacrifice that he made so someone else can just have a bit of humanity, really, and the fact that he did get to give up his own what humanity he had, give it up so someone else could experience that. Really, really touching stuff. And yeah, the fact that he died, it's a little sad, but hey.
And do you want to know another little tidbit on the end of that?
I would love to.
It's the music that's playing in the background, just as he's led there, and it's sort of the final few seconds. It's the theme from the Tears in Rain speech from the first film. So it's echoing what Roy Batty said and did, and it's basically continuing from the first film. It's like a little nod to kind of go,
interesting. And
this is what he's seen. This is the journey he's been on.
Yeah.
And it just very nicely echoes the ending of the first film.
You said not too long ago this is getting a sequel in the form of a TV show.
Yeah, I don't know what the progress is with that. Let's do a live Google, kids.
Let's hope it's not Netflix, because it's not happening, if that's the case.
Oh, yeah.
The last I heard it was Prime, so I'm just going to check this.
Oh, they got money. They'll make that.
Yeah, which is like, they're spending how many billions of dollars now on like what's it called, Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, you know.
Too much on Lord of the Rings, too much on The Boys.
Basically, the latest thing is it's found a director. It's going to be called Blade Runner 2099, so it's going to jump forward.
2099, okay.
Yes. Apparently, someone from Game of Thrones is directing, so there you go. If that means anything to anybody.
Oh, is it Alan Taylor?
It is Jeremy Podswa.
I was just excited for Alan Taylor's like the pilot, the Ned Stark death, the Battle of the Bastards. Like, he's the big ones.
Oh, okay. So that would Well, I don't know.
Jeremy Padiswa?
Yeah, something like that.
Is that a guy?
Yeah, there's nothing on here at the minute in terms of when it's going to come out or what, but we'll just keep an eye on it.
Very much in development. Well, maybe not development hell, but
I mean, it has been 6 years, so you kind of think they should hopefully get on with it.
It's like that thing that the studios do when they they have a shareholder meeting coming up, so they're like, what do we got? We're going to do a Blade Runner show, and then like 6 years down the line, like, fuck, we actually have to deliver on that as well. Like, we actually have to make it,
exactly.
Yeah. That got leaked to the press, and now it's a thing. Like, we got to hire someone.
Well, that article I read was from March of this year, so again, should be, I don't know, maybe a year or two from now, we should actually get something. We'll see.
Progress, yeah. Well, that's progress. A name attached is something.
Yeah, and I'll be here for it. I'm not holding my breath, to be honest, because, again, I don't really know what to expect. I mean, the fact that this worked so well, this sequel, was kind of a miracle. So I'm not really sure about a series, but we'll see.
You need a fucking, like, I hate using the word, but you actually need, like, some sort of auteur. Like, you need a Ridley Scott or a Denis Villeneuve. Like, you can't have a run-of-the-mill TV showrunner just make something like this.
I reckon you can. Give him a shot.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Give him.
Why not?
I'll be the first person to like admit they'd be happy to be proven wrong. But like, it's gonna be fucking expensive to look at. It's gonna be high concept stuff. Like, I don't know. I hope it's good. I really do, because I'm now.
Yeah.
I'm not. I remember watching the first Blade Runner and I was like, I like it, but like, for me, I think there's a fuss made over it, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
maybe I didn't see this at the right age for it to like land with me, and I care about it more. But like this film is special. I genuinely think. Well, let's wrap up a little bit, unless anyone's got any glaring points. Have we got any little things? Harley, I'm putting you on the spot. You have a little thing for us, surely.
No, of course not. This film is perfect. How dare you even insinuate that it isn't?
It can be a good little thing. It can be something good.
Honestly, I don't really have one. When I think about it, I'm just whenever I watch this film, I just sit down with a glass of whiskey and I have a good time. Like, I'm good.
And you pour it out on the carpet for your dog.
Exactly. Yeah, she loves it.
I actually do have a little thing now that I think about it.
Please.
The font is too little.
Okay, that's fair.
Very
Make
good.
it bigger.
That's very fair. Shall we do some recommendations?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So my recommendation this week is a video game that I played over the last couple of weeks or so, just here and there. It's an indie game called Lake. I actually got it free with PlayStation Plus. So that's where you can play it. You could probably play it other places, but that's where I played it. It's just basically like, it's kind of like a cozy game, pretty low stakes, just quite relaxing to enjoy. Basically, the basic premise is you are a kind of high-strung businesswoman in the 80s working on this like computer project, and you so stressed out from work that you take a vacation, go back to your hometown where you grew up, which is a small lakeside town in the middle of like, I think it's Oregon, in the middle of Oregon. And you get a job for 2 weeks just delivering mail to people, just driving around the town in your little van, delivering mail.
Nice.
And that is literally it. That's the whole game. You have like conversations along the way. You can like build relationships and stuff. And it's just like a really nice and kind of cozy way to spend a couple of hours.
That's nice.
I love that.
So yeah, I'd recommend that. And it doesn't take long to get through it all. It's quite easy playthrough, and yeah, quite enjoyable. Really.
I've recently got a PS5. I'm gonna have to check that out then. That sounds really good.
Do it, yeah. Check it out. It's quite enjoyable.
Do you get to
build with it?
Do you get to upgrade your lake with more letters?
No, you don't. There's no building. There's no
when
grading.
other invading businesswomen come in, do you get to take them down with the sheer power of your lake?
You do not know. There's nothing like that.
Fuck.
Unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I'll check that out. Harley, do you need a minute, or shall I do mine?
I'm gonna recommend the new Foo Fighters album. But here we are. Even though I'm a little bit sour from not being able to get tickets the other day, thanks to Ticketmaster's terrible website, but
I saw you on Twitter quite upset.
Mate, honestly, fuming, absolutely fuming.
You should have got the priority access thing or something.
Well,
right?
I should have, because I bought them in the past, and apparently that's how you get the code. And then I went to look for the code, and I wasn't sent one, and I asked for one, and they didn't give me one. And anyway, it's fine. It's fine. This is not the first time I've had to source secondhand tickets, so I will be there. Yes. You hear me, Dave Grohl? I will be there. Cannot keep me away. But anyway, the album is incredible, genuinely. As someone who was there, you guys can see I'm wearing the shirt from when I went to the Taylor Hawkins tribute gig, and that was beautiful. And I did think to myself, is this it? Is this the end of these guys? I wouldn't be surprised if they just walked away. But
so is this their first album since?
It's their first album since, and let me double
What's it called?
check. It's called But Here We Are, and
Here We Are.
It's absolutely fantastic. It's just straight up, the opening track, Rescued, is just one of those like classic Foo Fighters bangers that you can just see them opening up on a stadium with it. And there's a lot of fun experimental stuff. I think his daughter sings on one of the songs. It's a female voice. I'm fairly certain it's her.
Oh wow!
And the final track, Rest, is just beautiful. It's just this really slow, like almost like a lullaby, like Dave Grohl just saying goodbye to his friend. And if it doesn't move you to tears, you're made of stone. Also, their first 10-minute long song, which is just before that, which is also quite experimental and fun. And yeah, it's just awesome. John Freese is the new drummer. He sounds fantastic.
I saw a video recently of the Foo Fighters. It might have been at Glastonbury, might have been another festival,
they were there.
Download as well. Could have been Download if they were at Download.
They weren't.
But yeah, I believe they had his son on the drums.
That was at the well, they might have been at Glastonbury, yeah, because they went as the Churn Ups. They were like a mystery band, which is brilliant.
Right, okay.
But yeah, when I was there for the
Yeah.
Taylor Hawkins thing, yeah, his son played drums on My Hero.
Was it
And
Corey?
there was
Corey Hawkins?
not a dry eye in the stadium. I'll tell you that
Yeah,
now. We were
can
all
imagine.
just like weeping and just watching this kid
Yeah.
just play for his dad. It was beautiful.
Well, I just added this to my library, so I'm going to listen to that while I'm at
Nice.
work tomorrow because
Yeah.
that sounds pretty good. I used to love the Foo Fighters quite a lot back in my. I'm at the age now where I don't just care about music anymore. Like,
Okay.
I'm at the age now where I'm like, I know what I know when
Yes.
it comes to music, which is very specifically sort of like emo rock from the 2000s to 2010.
Nothing wrong with
kind
that.
of.
That's coming back around, Nathan.
It is massively. But yeah, no, I used to like Foo Fighters really quite a bit. So yeah, I'm gonna check this out. And I feel you on Ticketmaster. I'm currently getting ready to try and get Taylor Swift tickets in the next
mate.
2 weeks, and that is gonna be
It's gonna be a
fucking
bloodbath.
war.
Like
Yeah, all out.
I might
war for that.
send you a picture because I was on the phone to a friend of mine actually at the time and I was sending him pictures of what I was looking at, and the page just wasn't loading. Like it was just freaking out, and I was just thinking, like, guys, come on, like you're Ticketmaster, like how invest in some decent servers or something. Like you could just
It's
tell.
awful that they're pretty much like the only one.
Yeah,
as well,
but you can tell
which
they
is-
just do the bare minimum, and then when a massive artist like this comes out, it's just like,
Yeah.
well, if you get them, if
can
you
they
get them.
Yeah.
Well, you've got Nathan's lovely calming game. You've got Harley's
here we
like
go.
tribute album to like a sadly no longer with us rock legend.
Oh, here we go.
And I would like to pose that you wash those two down with a nice game of crazy mini golf.
Okay.
I haven't played mini golf since I was like maybe 10
Yeah.
until last week. They're next to my local cinema in the complex. It's very weird. There is like a bungee jumping room and also a mini golf room and then an IMAX cinema like within the same building.
The big three.
That
Yeah,
tracks.
it's very strange, but anyway, so I went there, not by myself. I went there with some friends, and I played two lovely rounds of 18-hole crazy golf.
Nice.
And when I say this, it is so stupid, but you don't understand how competitive you are until you play that game. You can see something, and you can see that feasibly it can be done in like 2 hits of a golf club.
Yep.
And when it takes you 9, you are borderline screaming. Like it's, yeah. But basically, you get a hole in one, you get cocky, and then the next one takes you 9, and you go, oh yeah, it's the slap back to reality I needed. Yeah, I felt like Jared Leto with my god complex.
Yeah.
So that is me. Harley, thank you so much for coming on. It's been
thank you.
Genuinely a pleasure talking to you, and also hearing about something that you so often we get to hear stuff that other people enjoy and you can listen and learn, and it's so nice to hear you talk passionately about something you love. So
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate the space to do that. Thank you.
no problem. And you are welcome to come on. We'll wait until Amazon finally release that show, and then you can come on.
I'll see you in 2052 or whenever it is. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be the show's title will be the year that we convene for the podcast. That's when it'll actually come out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, anything else to say? Anyone?
No, wrap this bitch up.
Wrap this bitch up. Okay, we have 2 podcasts. But before I tell you about those, I'm going to tell you about Harley's podcast called The Fandomentals. It is great. Nathan and I have both been on there. Nathan spoke about Doctor Who, which was a very, very fun time. And I, as I joked about earlier, got to speak about my day job. No, genuinely, he speaks to a whole kind of just a plethora of really interesting people about stuff that they give a shit about. And it's really fun, and it's been nice to talk to you and be able to swear again. So I appreciate it's
Fair
family
enough.
friendly. It's all ages. It's genuinely a good time, and it's really cool to hear people just. My suggestion would be just go down his feed, pluck something you know nothing about, and just learn, because it's really, really interesting to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. That's my philosophy with running the show.
We have 2 podcasts because we're greedy. One of them is this one. New episodes of this one come out every Friday at 10 a.m. You can follow us on Twitter there at Another Happy Pod. If Twitter still exists by the time this goes up, I don't know what the fuck's happening there.
As long as your rate limit isn't exceeded, then you can view and see what's going on.
A what now?
Oh, do you not know about this?
No, I haven't been on Twitter much the last couple of days. What's happened now?
So Elon's put on a limit to how many tweets you can see in a day now.
Seriously?
Yeah.
And it's also like 600, which is nothing.
Oh, for the love
If
of...
you're unverified, if you don't have Twitter Blue, it's like 600.
Of course.
If you do have Twitter Blue, I think it's like 10,000 now or something.
Imagine still limiting people that have paid you $8 a month.
Oh my goodness.
It's like...
Imagine paying $8 a month.
Yeah, I know. I saw someone refer to it as like, imagine YouTube went, you've seen enough videos for today, leave the site.
Yeah.
Why would you do it?
It's like this guy wants to set it on fire.
Yeah.
I think it has to be intentional at this point. It has to be like a tax write-off or some weird shit that's going
He
down.
needs to run his potential into the ground so he can get something back, a kickback or something. Yeah.
Yeah, something weird's going on.
Yeah.
We
We have another podcast, Nathan. What's that one?
As I was about to say, yes, we have another one. It's called Still Got Legs. It's all about Doctor Who and the weird and wonderful little sci-fi show that we all know and love. That comes out every Monday at 10 a.m. Most of the time, anyway. So go and listen to that if you love Doctor Who, or even if you don't.
That's true. I never know what to do after this because I wait for you to play in the theme a little bit. So I'm just gonna slowly say goodbye.
You rate and review.
Bye.
Oh wait.
Oh, okay. No, hang on. Sorry, I've messed up. You guys.
No, you didn't mess up. Don't worry. It was not you who messed up there.
All right, rate and review this podcast. We don't know what it does, but presumably it helps. Your podcast platform of choice will likely have some sort of review system. Tap the 5 stars on it or whatever the top one is if you love listening to this. If you don't, just tap it anyway. And
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, you hadn't already done it, Harley?
Well, I did it on Spotify, but I don't know how much that helps you, so I'll jump over to iTunes and leave a little review.
What a true hero.
Everyone
the least I can
like
do.
Harley.
Harley, what is your Twitter if you want to give it like a little plug?
Yeah, I mean, at Fandomentals Pod and also at Harley Mumford, but from what you guys have just told me, I don't think either one's going to be of much use in the very near future. Good grief. Yeah. But I'm also over on Instagram. Again, I don't do as much. I tell you what I have fired up, and I would appreciate people checking out, even though I'm still trying to figure it out, is Discord. I have set up a Discord server.
Okay.
And I've done it with the idea of I'm adding a bunch of stuff to it, including guest appearances, so this will be on there. But also, nice. I've done like a channel for every topic. So if someone's like, I really want to talk about Doctor Who, there's a Doctor Who channel, for example, or video editing. If you've got anything you want to share, I've usually got it running in the background. So if you jump on and you want to share your thoughts with me or something you thought was interesting, I will gladly chat to you about it and hopefully some other...
How would people join that? Is that a link on your Twitter?
Yeah, it's on my Twitter. It's in the link tree in the bio, so people can just go straight there.
To that.
Yeah, so, I can send you that and just jump on and have a little chat because it seems like all these other platforms are being monetized or ripped to shreds, so there's one there where you can just reach me direct if you want to.
That's fair.
That sounds quite cool.
Nathan, you're also giving out your phone number, aren't you?
It's 0792... Bleep that because that is real.
You can get in touch with Nathan there. Have fun. Might hold him for ransom on that clip now. Just have that audio file ready to go.
Absolutely.
Good time. Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you next week. Oh, where we will be doing this.
You're bleeding, mate.
Oh, mate, shit.
Oh,
shit, man. Who the fuck did I kill?
Get a wet one on it or something.
Oh, it's not mine, mate.
Oh, it's not yours?
Yeah, I know. I don't bleed.
Oh, in that case, just leave your jacket open, let everyone have a good old look.
Yeah, I want everyone to see my tie.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Great stuff. I have no idea what yet. We'll figure that out.
All right, bye.
Bye.